So I have a nearly 4-year-old daughter, Frida, and our next-door neighbors have a son, Fred, the same age. Their birthdays are a week apart. The kids are best friends and love playing together, though we try to limit it a bit because they have a dynamic that gets them really rowdy and riled up. Fred is a handful, and I think his mom does her best. But Fred's dad, so whiny and entitled, it's infuriating. So the other day, all the neighbors with kids got together to do a little winter bonfire in the backyard. Roast marshmallows and make bread on a stick in the fire. So I got sent out to get a hold of some good sticks we could use, and I took Frida and Fred with me. We live in townhouses where there's a long row of garden plots you can rent. One of the spaces is unused and full of the branches and things people cut out of their gardens, so we head over there to grab some sticks. The kids bring a couple of toy shovels they're playing with. As I'm trying to cut branches, the kids go into the next garden plot. I know the older lady who has it, and she is always welcoming to the kids playing on her plot and is always offering them strawberries or peas from the garden, so I figured it was okay for them to play in there for a couple minutes. Well, I hear stones hitting the ground and manic laughter, so I look over and see Fred is kicking over all the bricks this lady has made a raised planter out of. Then my squealing Frida is grabbing the bricks and throwing them. I put a stop to that real fast and told them we have to rebuild the planter and that it's not okay to ruin other people's thing. Fred got bored with that and found a place he could dig a hole. I told him he needed to help, but I couldn't make him. Frida helped me fix the planter and went to play with Fred when we finished. I went back into the patch of branches, cut what I needed, and came back out after 3 minutes. I'd heard they were digging in some dirt, and that was fine, but as I'm coming out, I hear that impish, "Oh, we know we're being naughty," giggling again. I found they had dug all the gravel out of another neighbor's garden and were flinging it all over the parking lot. This time I was pissed. Had I not just told them not to ruin other people's gardens? Now we need to clean up this mess. Not okay, guys. I told Frida to run home and get the big broom and told Fred to start shoveling gravel back in place. Frida took off to fetch it. Fred sat down and resolutely informed me that I'm not his dad and he doesn't have to listen to me. I told him that when he's with me, he most certainly does. Just like Frida has to listen to his parents when she's with them. Fred cries. So I call his dad and say, I need reinforcements as we have a situation over here. Frida comes with the broom and I get her started shoveling. I'm sweeping and can see it's hard for her to understand why she has to help while Fred gets to sit and play with his shovel. I explain it's because Fred doesn't want to help clean up the mess they'd made, but that Fred's daddy was coming to make him do the right thing too. Fred's dad shows up and I explain what's happened and that we need to get this cleaned up and fix up this planter they destroyed. But instead, he goes to Fred all like, "Oh, buddy, are you tired? You're acting like this because you've had a long day, eh, pal? Do you want to go home and have a juice and watch some Paw Patrol?" I'm like, after we get this mess cleaned up, right? I told the kids we need to fix this before we go back. He responds now, it's just kids being kids. Let them, garden owners, fix it. They won't know who did it anyway. Besides, I'm freezing out here. Aren't you cold, Fred? Let's go. Frida says she's cold too and wants to go with Fred. I told her that I was also cold, but we can't just leave someone's garden in ruins or leave gravel all over. So we swept and shoveled everything back in place for 20 minutes. Frida asked about why Fred didn't have to help and got to watch TV about 15 times. I could see the cogs in her little head turning, trying to reason out why she was being punished while Fred got rewarded. And I just didn't know what to say to her other than in our family, we take responsibility and clean up our own messes. I had to bite my tongue and not add that Fred's dad is an entitled crap and that the apple doesn't fall far from entitlement tree. I work as a parts designer at a company that makes bespoke pieces for the furniture trade. We have many different clients, many of which have accounts with us so they pay monthly invoices. Customers who don't have accounts have to pay for parts up front for obvious reasons. Bespoke pieces which can't be resold. Needless to say, brand new clients fall into the pay up front category. But anyone can apply for an account through our finance team should they want to. But they have to fill out a form for various credit checks. Anyway, a man emails me for a quotation on some pieces. He sends drawings but missed off several vital dimensions. I email him back to request them, and because his original email had zero info about him, no location, no contact number, nothing. I also request that he provide this info for potentially sending his invoice and pricing up the shipping. He waits for almost 2 weeks before replying and still only gave me the missing dimensions. I think, okay, I'll just give him the item prices. So I calls him up and explain shipping will be extra, but I need his details. He replies by thanking me. That's fine, thank you. I think he's maybe going to speak to his people and maybe get back to me, as this is a common occurrence. Another couple of weeks pass by, then he emails me. When will my units be ready? What the actual F? I then politely apologize for any misunderstandings and explain that I didn't realize he was placing a firm order. I then go on to very clearly explain the procedure of our company. Customer details are required. Invoice needs to be then raised and sent. Customer needs to pay. Drawings are then drafted. Bill of materials built. Order processed. Goods made. Shipping or collection is made. Once I sent the email, I shake my head and continue on with other projects. Within minutes, he replies with just this. I confirmed an order in my reply. Please make the units ASAP. Nothing more. No details, no address, no full name. Didn't even specify if shipping was required. I thought about it for a while. I reread the emails between us thinking maybe I wasn't getting through to him, but it was all very clear and straightforward. I emailed back and explained that I couldn't help him any further without him following the procedure. 2 weeks later, he calls our sales team and requests to make a payment. So understandably, they are confused because they don't have any invoice documents. So I explain the situation and forward them the email correspondence. Sales team then have to explain everything again and have to literally crowbar the information out of him. They raise his invoice. He only pays part of it and is 70 pounds short. Sales have to chase him for the shortfall. He eventually pays the shortfall. I draft the drawings up to the drawings he sent and the order is eventually processed. Apparently, he's planning on collecting the goods once they have been built. I know it's not over. I'm expecting him to start demanding free shipping. I also expect he will find fault with the product and try to wrangle a discount, even though we made the product to his exact specifications. In 2020, during a time of budgeting, price hikes and small companies like ours having to make cutbacks, this fellow thinks I'm going to make him over 450 pounds of bespoke parts just going on his abbreviated name and a comment saying, "Fine, thank you." Are these people for real? My parents appear to have some form of bipolar disorder. I'm not saying this lightly because I understand how having a mental disorder will be trying, but can't seem to find any other way to describe the torturous regime I live under. For some of the time, my parents are a dream, being loving, caring, and happy people that care for me and provide for me. However, this can all change in a moment. A few seconds after being great people, they will become sarcastic, rude, and terrible people. This is the great pain that I have to live with daily. This change could be over anything, for example, and this is just from earlier today, the device I used to do my homework on. I was telling my mom that I can perfectly reasonably do my maths homework on my iPad and phone, which makes perfect sense. However, it is unacceptable. I will not do it, and I must use her laptop with her sat next to me. Then she goes on to complain that she has better things to be doing than sitting there staring at me. This also extends to other fields such as money. Yes, my manipulative, controlling, entitled parents financially abuse me. Who'd have guessed it? In a way, they do occasionally help me financially, with invisible strings attached, I might add. When I was 11, I bought an iPad that my dad helped me pay half towards. 4 years later, whilst I don't use my iPad, I'm not allowed to sell it even though I'm saving money. And if I did sell it, my dad would get half the money that I get for selling it as he paid half. This is unfair. Taking the money I would get because of a catch he didn't tell me about 4 years ago. The same goes for my Switch, which is even worse as I paid completely for it. My parents are adamant that I'm not allowed to sell my personal belongings that I paid for, even though I need the money elsewhere ASAP. What makes it worse is that I get no pocket money either, and only get money for my birthday and Christmas, and have to rely on the little money I get for those to last me for the whole year. I'm also not allowed to save money as it's a waste, and it's disrespectful to the people who gave the money to me in the first place. Guess my age from the following list of things I have to adhere to. Screen time restrictions from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. where it's allowed between those times. Not allowed to talk to strangers on the internet. Can't use Discord as it's dodgy and someone's going to solicit me for something or other. This has led to a lack of contact with many of my real friends. Can't have 17 plus apps unblocked on my phone because I'll do something. This is an Apple phone, so there are no bad apps anyway. And the 17-plus app restrictions also limit the Discord app in every single internet browser, so I'm stuck using plain old Safari. When I'm yelled at to turn off my devices, I have to bring my text downstairs, where it is promptly hidden away, which is pretty strange if you ask me. I keep no tech in my room, which is a really annoying rule as I can barely even do homework most of the time as my tech is hidden, and my mom refuses to give it back to me. I am constantly threatened with tech bans if I fail to be a model child. My dad's excuse for not letting me have a PC that I buy myself is because I'm a minor and what he says goes. I'm a minor is my parents' catchphrase for controlling me, along with I'm a parent, and you do what I say. From that list, you'd guess something in the range of 8-12. You'd be very wrong when I tell you that I'm actually 15 years old. You read that right. 15. I'm turning 16 this year, yet I can't have a PC as I might use it past my bedtime. My grandparents all find it weird how my parents treat me, which is funny because they still don't seem to care anyway. My grandma thinks it's silly how my parents block my phone or else I'll spend the whole time I see them staring at it, even though they have told my mom countless times that I don't do that. Finally, my entitled parents don't listen when I tell them they're setting me up for failure in later life. If I can't have tech in my room at age 15, how will I ever learn to control myself when I'm in college or university and not living at home? How will I make it to lectures? How will I be able to do homework? I'm not allowed an Android phone at age 15 because I'm too young to come off the parental restrictions. How will I cope when, for the first time since the first device I ever had, I get a taste of freedom? I need to learn whilst the stakes are relatively low, not whilst I'm doing my GCSEs, not whilst I'm at college or university. But now, I should have learned 5 years ago, however, the inability to see what's for the best is leading me up to have a terrible life. So I come here. Does anyone have any advice on how I can deal with this? Does anyone know what I can do from this point on to convince my parents that what they're doing is wrong? Please, I'm looking for any help that I can get these days. Thank you for reading. I, 27 female, have known sister-in-law for 3 years. She's the type of person that always needs to be right and needs to be in charge of everything. She's very demanding as well. My sister-in-law's family members are very disrespectful and rude. They don't clean up after themselves, expect everyone to act like maids or servants around them, and they think very highly of themselves. They can never be wrong and think they can do no wrong. Because of this, my sister-in-law's family don't really punish their kids. Like they have no consequences. They aren't even like the gentle parenting type either. My sister-in-law's sister has a son, and he's extremely chaotic. He throws tantrums if he doesn't get something, and he has to be the center of attention 24/7. When there are birthdays, he needs a gift or opens the gifts and needs to blow out candles. It's frustrating, which is why I'm not usually around at family gatherings and other stuff. I was my sister-in-law since her friend canceled on her and I was helping make invitations. I saw one of the names was sister-in-law's nephew. I asked if she wanted him to go, and she said, yeah. She then asked why, so I told her why. I talked about his tantrums and how he'll probably throw a fit during the reception and other stuff. She got mad and said that she didn't know what I was talking about. She told my family and her sister, which caused her sister to write me a message saying how I was wrong and other stuff like that. Well, the day of the wedding comes. Everyone comes in happy except nephew. He's crying and is about to throw a fit. When my sister-in-law came out, he literally started screaming. The poor pastor had to stop and wait for the parents to leave. During the after party, he was back and crying again. When they were cutting the cake, he screamed extremely loud. He pushed my sister-in-law, who was holding a glass of wine, and spilled on her. She started crying. She turned around to leave, and I looked at her and said, I told you so. She started crying even more now. When I got home, my mom called me extremely immature and wanted me to apologize. So, am I in the wrong? And now, for some comments, you're in the wrong. This is absolutely you're not wrong, Walter. You're just a jerk situation. It doesn't matter that you were right. There was no need to be that person in the moment. Everyone sucks. Bad moment to say something like that, but man, I wish I was there to see it. They got mad at you for trying to save the wedding from drama, then you're proven right, and now it's suddenly not okay. Again, bad timing, but I love the pettiness. I'm saying not in the wrong. It's really that you are a justified jerk. You raised your concerns. Your sister-in-law ignored them, which was fine. She then told you you were wrong, which you weren't, but that's fine. She then told her family, who sent you messages about how could you say that about my child, which was really wrong. Your sister-in-law spread your warning to her family, who then messaged you. This entitles you to say, "Screw you. You were wrong. I was right. I told you so."